Everyone knows that if you want to drink the best beer in the world, you come to Czechia. But there's a lot more to the Prague beer scene than an overpriced Pilsner in Old Town Square. Today I'm taking you to the neighborhood of Vršovice, a quick 20-minute tram ride from the city center. We're going to one of my local hangouts to sit down with Sarah and Adam, two certified beer experts who are adding a new flavor to the Prague beer scene with Lya Beer Cafe. I'm Jen, and this is Prague, the heart of Europe and my adopted home. Subscribe to get an American's take on this enchanting city and all things Czech. Welcome to the adventure. At Lya Beer Cafe, you won't find hordes of beer-guzzling tourists, but rather a community of Czechs and expat locals looking to sample something new right in their own neighborhood.
I think it is a real neighborhoody sort of place.
Yeah.
A lot of people are expats, but there's a lot of Czechs as well.
Yeah.
There's a very wide range of ages, I think, too.
I think one thing that's very specific here actually is that a lot of expats come here. So I think for tourists it can be really interesting because they can often meet somebody from their own country here that already live in Czech for many years. And I think that offers like a good opportunity to like ask about any cultural differences and anything.
Inevitably, we end up talking to whomever's there.
Yeah, it is really like drinking in your living room.
It is. It's good. I mean,
Which I like.
That's fun. There's no shortage of places to drink beer in Prague, so I asked them how Leah was different from the typical Czech pub.
The places are very similar to each other, that you have this idea of Czech beer culture and idea of a Czech pub. And the idea of Leah was to offer something else, so to offer craft beer but in a cafe atmosphere. It's funny actually because like when with my craft beer friends, if we want to talk about something else than a beer, we go to lager pub, we go to the local or something, we go to sit and have a beer that we've said everything about, you know, that some Pilsner Urquell that we've already tasted million times and there's not really nothing to add. It's also kind of like that you, for the longest time, you grew up in this, we are the beer making powerhouse, we make the best beer in the world. You grow up in this mentality. Like here, the idea how to perceive the beer is only changing in like last 10 years. And like a lot of people like still believe that like the lager is the highest you can achieve in brewing a beer, and that everything else doesn't make sense to make because we already discovered lager, didn't we, or something like that, you know, like why make anything else? A lot of people still wanna, which I don't blame them, but still wanna just drink their Czech lager and be happy about it.
The Czechs brew lager like Italian grandmothers make pasta. Why would they need to innovate when they're already the best? But I think the younger generation of Czechs are traveling more and observing what other countries do with beer, and they bring that thirst for variety back home to the Czech Republic.
Even the customers started to understand what different styles should offer. So now breweries can't just put a label of IPA or Pale Ale on everything, anything they feel like, because the customers actually already know what to expect. So it kind of forces the breweries to actually do the beer styles correctly. Nowadays there is a lot of breweries who are able to make like hyper modern styles in a way that's very what you see on in the West and in the like craft beer powerhouses like England, USA or Scandinavia.
There is kind of this awakening that a lot of people are excluded from the beer world. And I want this place to be more opening to different kinds of people. So like by doing these different kinds of events, you have a lot of people that come into a space and they try a beer because people do want to try something else, but a lot of people don't for a wide variety of reasons. So when we do these events that are welcoming to women, welcoming to kids and families, or like bring in like older people as well, like I think it's really good.
I mean, it's so true, and like I said that Adrian and Tom brought us here, but like they are always trying to get me to try new things. I come here, you're telling me to try new things, and it is a bit intimidating. It's like almost like the wine world in California. It's like I don't want to ask questions because I will expose how like much I don't know.
Sure.
And I never feel like that here. I'm always
that's
what
great.
is that?
That's
What's a
awesome.
lambic? Tell me more.
That's great.
Yeah.
That means we're doing our job.
Sarah, who's American, and her colleague Adam, who's Czech, each add something unique to Leah.
Like this place would not exist without him, for sure. He helps with all sorts of stuff. Like he's helped me with a lot of bureaucratic stuff to understand. Also, like my Czech isn't so good, so he helps with a lot of communication stuff. And he's helped me build things. Like he helped me scrape all these walls in the very beginning and build that bench and all sorts. He did the plumbing system when we needed to open. Like he's helped with all sorts of crazy projects that I've asked him to do. One of the things that we do a lot together is to kind of curate our beer selection. And Adam is very knowledgeable about beer styles and beer and what's going on here in the Czech craft beer world. And so I think this is really important for this place, is his involvement with that and helping to kind of curate and decide what beers we have on tap, what beers we're going to bring in.
We kind of specialize in sour beers, and by sour beers I mean like spontaneously fermented and wild fermented and mixed fermentation beers. So you'll find a lot of Belgian lambics here and some of the bottles of small Czech producers of wild fermentation beer. And we really like this because it's kind of a contra culture to the Czech lager culture, because it's beers that takes often years to make, because the fermentation process can take years, and they are kind of where lager is like the crystallization of drinkability and of a industrial stable beer. Lambics and spontaneously fermented and wild fermented beers are like the exact opposite. They are beers of very complex tastes that you're gonna sip, not pound, and they are very like they are very hard to make, so that they taste same every year, because like.
You can tell the minute you start talking beer with these guys that they really know their stuff, and they're super enthusiastic about sharing that knowledge with you. You're like a real educator. You like to like talk about the beer. So what's your background in beer?
Well, I basically started because my husband and I lived in Žižkov at the time, and we would explore a lot of the local pubs around. And so that kind of like sparked some curiosity. In the beginning, I knew nothing, right? And so I got into beer kind of slowly, and I have a friend who is from the same place that I'm from, and he is an avid home brewer, and he started to talk about this BJCP thing. And then I had another friend.
And BJCP is, what does that mean?
Beer Judge Certification Program.
Okay.
So in 2015, we started a beer tour company, and I realized that I really needed to improve my education, improve my knowledge about beer, and I thought, okay, like I could try to do this BJCP course, and it was super informative and helpful, and that's how I met my colleague Adam, and I met a lot of great people through that course and kind of got more connected to the beer world here. So I took an exam, and now I'm a certified judge, and I helped judge with the Prague homebrewing competition last year. But there's still I still want to keep improving my knowledge.
Of course, as all good teachers.
Yeah, because there's so much to learn, and it's really exciting.
I worked in Beer Geek on Jiřího Poděbrad, and I used to be like a head bartender there. It's a good place where to start your craft beer career, because there's not really any place in Prague where you learn so much in such a short time.
Sarah's husband Daniel is also active at Leah behind the scenes.
Daniel, he does a lot of our web work, which is important, and he does.
Oh, you have a great website. He does that.
Yeah, he does that, and he does some design elements, businessy kinds of stuff. Yeah, and he also, I think, is active in the Swedish expat community here, which to help bring them in as well. I think we all kind of do our own little part to make the space go.
Leah is located on Krymska Street, which made the New York Times list of their top 12 favorite streets in Europe. But unfortunately, a lot of tourists are hesitant to leave the center to explore anything that's not in their guidebooks. They're really missing out. Krymska Street really comes alive at night, but it's not always self-evident during the day where to hang out.
So Krymska Street, basically, it's known for its nightlife, but like all the shops open at like 5 p.m. And if you're living there, like, and you have like a Sunday off, what do you do until 5 p.m.? Like, you might wanna take a beer or something, and there's not really that much possibilities.
I just can't imagine that tourists come out here, but it's not far.
It's not far, and I think before COVID, there was definitely an increase because of Airbnb. This is the one positive thing that Airbnb did.
To bring people out.
Is kind of get people outside of the center so they actually experienced what real people here do and different things than just, you know, in the center of Prague. There's tons of cool places. I think like Vinohradský Pivovar, which is just like a 10-15 minute walk up the hill, is a great place for Czech cuisine and some nice Czech beers. Like their food is awesome. Super nice people too. Krymska has lots of bars and restaurants as well. And there's a new beer pub around the corner, Walhalla, that has like Scandinavian beers, which is cool. Yeah.
So they could really do like a pub crawl almost, just outside the center.
Yeah, for sure. There's Focacceria right across the street, which is great, authentic Italian focaccia and arancina, which is awesome, and the sweets are wonderful. Crow Kitchen on Moskevska, they just opened up another one, you know, and we don't have food, so anyone can bring food here. Tomorrow we have this Be Spontaneous event.
Oh, what is that?
So we have a really nice guz that will be on tap.
I'm sorry, did she just say a guz? See, every time I come here, I learn something new about beer.
That will be on tap and from Tokin, and then we will have, we're going to open up a bunch of different bottles that are all spontaneous beers from Cantillon. There's quite a wide range of them, and be doing bottle pours. So it'll be a cool opportunity to like try some different beers that, because they are more expensive, that normally maybe a lot of people wouldn't want to invest in a bottle right off the bat, but then they can try a glass.
You are American.
Yes.
Where are you from?
Ohio.
Ohio. And how long have you been out of Ohio?
Oh gosh, since 2005, I think.
And your husband's
Swedish.
Swedish.
Yes, and he's been out of Sweden since about the same time.
And so Prague, why do you live in Prague?
Well, I moved here after college, and it was kind of a very random choice. Like I originally thought that I would go to grad school and I would study printmaking and pursue a master's in fine arts. But I got into one in New York, which I didn't expect, and I went there to visit and see how the school was, and I stayed with my friend, and I went to this super hip school in Brooklyn, and I looked around. I was like, I don't want to be here.
Really?
An unknown of moving to Europe is better than this. So I came here and I taught English, and I had a really good job, and I really liked teaching. I thought it was a great job. Like in the beginning, it was really fun to run around the city all day, and you learned a lot. You met a lot of different people. It was really cool.
I know that you give tours here.
Yes.
During at the time, it's maybe you're not doing them, but what does that look like under normal circumstances? What kind of?
Well, we did beer tastings. We would hold them here, and then we would do some beer tours in the center, and then we also did like company events and beer tastings, brewery tours, dinners, the whole thing for companies. I think a lot of tourists, they also, from what I experienced, they had this idea that they wanted to learn about beer. But I think at the end of the day, they just wanted to drink a lot.
Right. And they think of Prague as cheap. They think of
exactly.
Cheap beer, cheap place.
Cheap,
and
cheap,
so
cheap,
that is
cheap,
the mentality of when they come here.
Yeah.
And they're probably missing out. They're missing out on a lot.
A lot, for sure. Something I'm thinking about a lot when I look up and think about the future. I don't want to go back, and I do not want to help the center of Prague go back to what it was, because I don't think that that's at all how Prague deserves better.
You have a lot of events that aren't necessarily, they're not like just drinking parties. Like there's something more to it.
Yeah, like I think that I want this place to be more about like a community that is welcoming to everyone than just about feeding beer people.
I dropped in one Saturday afternoon to their makers market to meet some local artisans and of course to see what was on tap.
From like 6 to 11, just non-stop, just pouring, washing. I changed every day.
My name is Mira Soček, originally from Slovakia, but I grew up in the States. Of course, it has to match a little bit, but I do sometimes match them so that there's a little story behind it. Like this one, the pencil bag with the Amsterdam houses on the front, and then the map of Amsterdam inside.
I love it. In fact, I will take this one. I will get this one.
My name is Barbara Žižková. So I make like the travel stuff, the travel postcard and the stickers. I love Japan. I've been Japan like 5 times already. So it's my big inspiration. Yeah, it's like 2 types. One is digital painting or digital art. I also do by hand. So there is the original paintings.
Most of my works are cyanotypes, and it's like traditional, like really old alternative photo technique. I have like 2 classes planned here in Lya Beer Cafe, but participants will like do all of the process and will come home with their own photo or photogram, and yeah.
So first you have the silk screen.
Yeah.
Which is basically this. We can see here. You cover it with the layer of this blue paint, which is not actually paint. It's the photosensitive emulsion. And then you let it get dry for like an hour, and then when it's dry, you take
I've roasted for many years in a popcorn popper, but now I kind of improved technology and now I have a small home roaster. We don't want to have profit from the coffee and from the things we baked, but we want to give it to charity. And now we are giving all the money to CZECH BEER, which is a non-profit organization which helps to kids who are unable somehow.
Can I try?
The pub and restaurant industry in Prague was hit hard during COVID, just like everywhere else in the world. So I asked Sarah how Leah had weathered it so far.
Yeah, so for example, I think it was a Friday night in mid-March was the last time that we could have people in the space. Yeah. And then basically the next shift I worked, the door had to be closed and we had to sell through a window, right? So we had to wear masks, which that was really not a big deal. It was totally fine. Customers had to wear masks. You should have stayed, 2 meters apart. And then it got even stricter in that I think no more than 2 people were allowed to gather in public at any point in time. Yeah. So this kind of meant that we had to be more careful of like a crowd developing. We would do only to-go cups or bottle fills, growler fills, these sorts of things. And Adam did such a fantastic job understanding the rules, and they changed super fast. And what we had to do, how we had to follow them. And I think though, the one thing I have to say is the vibe from businesses here that I think is really great was to follow the rules. Like I don't think that many bars or drinking establishments tried to skirt the rules and have these parties or bring people in, which is really great. Right. So because of also this effort, I think of everyone, we're in a better spot today than a lot of other places. But it was very stressful to keep on top of things. And one of the things that we did was delivery within a small radius around here. And I think that in the future we'll probably do something similar again. Because people still want to drink at home. I mean, what are you going to do for 2 weeks in quarantine?
If you come to Prague and want to experience the city like a local, check out Lya Beer Cafe. I'll link it below. Uvidíme se příští týden. Ahoj!